Today I'll be talking about roles level 2. So hopefully I can help some people. What is my speaker not working?
So now, just before QJ starts, I know this topic is geared mainly towards level 1 judges. Of course, those are the people which we will be focusing on as far as the path towards level 2. What I would like the level 2 judges to focus on as far as this particular part of the presentation and the seminar this weekend is how you can use this information to mentor people who want to go towards level 2. Okay. Now, although we do have the role of level 2 tester nowadays, that's the person who will most likely be the one helping the level 3s to administer level 2 tests. All judges can be mentors. All level 1 judges can mentor other level 1 judges. All level 2 judges can mentor level 1 judges towards level 2. So just because you are not an L2 tester or an L3 doesn't mean that you can't help someone on their journey towards level 2. So this information is useful to you as well, how you can assist other people on their path to level 2. You are already level 2, now it's your job, it can be your job to help other people towards level 2. Okay? Thanks, PJ.
Thank you, Wong, for stealing 3 or 5 minutes of my talk. And I'm here to talk about leveling up. Some introductions. For those who don't know me yet, I am QJ. I've been judging for about 3.5 years. I have a store in Malacca, about halfway between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore. I have a bit of experience judging GPs and other various events. I also lead the tournament reports blog project. As usual, any questions about tournament reports, please feel free to come and find me or Ben. As you can guess from the topic, this presentation is primarily made for level 1s. According to Judge Apps, we have 23 L1s in this conference, 14 level 2s and 2 level 3s in attendance. Wong, I'm not ignoring you. But in addition to helping the level 1s who might be interested in leveling up, I was hoping that to talk about the levels in general will help everyone have a better understanding of the judge levels, especially since we have a new definition that came out earlier this year around April, with some new definitions and new requirements, so that hopefully everyone has a good refresher on judge levels. So the L2 plus, especially the veterans here, if you have any time, you have any insights or any additional information or knowledge you'd like to share to everyone, please feel free to let me know. For the L1s, can I have the L1s all raise their hands? Level 1s, regardless of whether or not you are planning to, who would like, please keep it raised, who would like to actually be level 2? Everyone. Great. So I know I've talked to a lot of the level 2 candidates among you guys, and I noticed that a lot of it has to do with commitments they're not able to put out the time, or there's other commitments that you can put in. I'm hoping that after this talk, you might be able to find a little bit more time and put a little bit more effort in achieving the wish of leveling up. And for the L2 plus, Vern already stole my thoughts. So, okay, not actually that long ago. In 2004, Judge Program Leadership introduced a new world order which redefined the judge levels, and which has the level 1 to level 5 structure, which many judges, especially players, still identify with today. What can you remember from 2004? Does anyone has any particular memory from 2004? It's very striking. Someone won a Pro Tour or something. In 2004, this is one of the biggest things. Right? And 2006 we have, 2016 we have this. But it's been a very, very long time. In 2014 we have 17 GPs and they average around 800 players. In this year we have 48. And up to now, the average is at 1,749 players. Back then, the levels were defined by the geographical scope. Level 1s are local judges, focused on stores. Level 2s are basically level 1s with more experience. Level 3 regional judges are the leaders in the region that are expected to certify the L1s and L2s. Level 4 international judges who are usually GP head judges, and level 5s are really rare and you probably only see them if they come to a GP nearby, which in South Asia, which is not all the time at that time. As organized play evolved along the years, it's a very long time, 12 years, regular area became a thing and became L1's focus in order to grow more at level 1s, level 2s are empowered to certify level 1s. And the process to reach level 3 was redefined more, make more clearer, more accessible. With the growth of the judge community, as players numbers grow, the judge community grew as well. RCs were created to be able to help manage and make it communication easier within the group and so on. But as all these changes was happening, they were all constrained to the level 1 to level 5 structure, which was slowly causing a problem because you have to keep changing within the structure. So as a lot of issues arise, the judge program leadership decided to just scrap everything and start from scratch with the new world order. It happened in April earlier this year, as mentioned, and instead of having the levels set on the geographical level, geographical scope, they want to make the levels reflect specific knowledge rather than a measure a general ability. I think this guy at level 2, he might be able to do this, but they threw that away and made it a lot more clearer. And they also got rid of level 4s and level 5s and introduced additional advanced roles and certifications, but that's another story for another day. But one of the most biggest changes with the new world order is that there is no longer level 4, level 5s, which led to a sad Ricardo. Quick rundown on what the new judge levels in the new world order. Level 1s are focused on regular REL. This means that the judges have been trained and certified in regular REL rules and procedures. They are the ones that take care of most of the major tournaments in the world, and those are usually the ones that teaches the new players the rules and what would be considered positive behaviors before they go to big events. Level 2 judges, competitive REL judges, have been trained and certified in ComREL, and they are primarily responsible for premier play in stores, most notably the PPTQ circuit. They also are usually the floor judges in GPs and other large events. Level 3, premier judges who have demonstrated the ability, they are level 2s who have shown the ability to lead a premier event. They have expert rules knowledge and logistical skills, and they will help tournament organizers of GP levels to run their events better. As you notice, all these judge levels are different, but they do not actually mean they are better. They are just being certified and being capable of handling different scopes in the tournament scene, which, as you know, most of the tournaments actually have that happens in Magic the Gathering. Most of the sanctioned events, a huge percentage of it is actually regular realm. So, why is there a need for judge levels? Does anyone have any idea? Why do we still want to have judge levels? Anyone want to have a guess? Yi?
Yes. to differentiate competency, I mean, what area they are trained in. Not in terms of whether better or not, just like what are their knowledge in,
And
what they are suitable to, what they can help with the event.
yes, exactly, and that would help TOs and players, especially people who are not familiar with the judge program, to have a better idea of what to expect out of a judge. Like if I am level 1, they know that I am certified to deal with regular rail events, and they won't expect me to do a very good job in doing. I might be able to, but it's not expected of me to be able to judge PPTQ efficiently. For the level 1s, wanted to be level 2. What's yeah? Sorry, I have to choose you just as you put something in your mouth. Sorry. Why do you want to be level 2?
Because I feel that I can do more than just level 1. I can help out in the competitive events.
To challenge yourself, to make sure that to see how far you can go, whether or not you can be, see how far you can go. Anyone else? Lisa, what do you want to be level 2?
Well, you would like to have a growth in the language program
Yep, more numbers.
and take more different roles that makes your experience more fun.
More judging opportunities. GPs, because it's a big competitive round event, need judges to be able to handle events. You usually will use a lot of the IPG. You know how to handle problems that occur, what fixes to apply, and then you'll be able to judge a GP. Let's see, who else level 1? Look, you've been judging for a long time. And you, I'm welcome back. Really, I've seen you all the time when I was playing, and I was really happy. I was a bit no. Blur is nice. I'm not intimidated by Blur. I always felt it was a bit weird when I started judging. And like, hey, where did Blur go? And I was very happy to hear that when you came back. I'm sure you're working towards your level 2 again, right? Why do you want to be level 2? Yeah, more competitive chances, yes. Is there anything else? Does anyone else want to share their motivations on why? Right. So one thing that will help you a lot when you level up to level 2 would be you get more compensation. Please note the fine print in the image is only for illustration purposes only. It's not surprising that judges with higher levels will get more compensation because TOs usually will be able to put them to work more, for example. And leveling up, being a level 2 will help you greatly to make sure that you'll be better compensated for your skills and knowledge. Is anyone else have anything to add? Why would you like to be level 2?
Ball and surplus slots.
You didn't see my slide.
You did the same thing a few months ago, right?
So this doesn't mean that being a level 2 means you will get an imperial seal. It just means that you have more involvement within the judge program.
Okay.
Right?
You can give more.
You can give others imperial seals. Yes, that's true. That is very true. Don't make me choke. There's a lot of programs inside the judge program, and there are very reasons why certain things are only assigned to level 2 and above, but practical reasons. But for example, com brow related events, would require you to have the knowledge and skills of competitive level. So we're going through the various motivations of why would you like to be a level 2 judge. Let's go very briefly about the requirements to be a level 2 judge. So all those who are working on the level 2s, if you're not sure, sometimes I ask, how far have you done in your preparation? They're like, let me look it up. And I will help you right now. The first thing would be you have to actually judge, right? That's very simple. You actually have to have judging experience, right? This is ensure that you have been judging. The rules enforcement level actually doesn't really matter, but please do make sure that your DCI number is tell your TO to enter your DCI number into the business event reporter. Otherwise, it won't count. FNMs, releases, these are actually very good arenas, places to get rules questions and help get your experience. And here's a quiz for the L2 class actually. Why is it 6 events in 6 months? Oh yeah, newly promoted. What do you think they want you to do 6 events in 6 months? To keep you updated. Yes, so that you are constantly judging, because we're expecting L2 judges to be more active, right? So you want them to be judging very often. Another requirement would be to write reviews of 2 different judges in the judge center in the previous 12 months. As a level 2, you are expected to be frequently helping your peers, your other judges to improve. Writing in reviews and submitting it to the judge center is a formal way of doing so. You can help your judges all the time by giving feedback, verbal feedback and whatnot, but for the sake of formality, you have to enter 2 of it into the judge center. A quick rundown on how to write an efficient review. Write down what made you notice, either good or bad, and why. Something happened that made you want to talk, give him feedback. Either it's really amazing or something that he could do better. Tell the reader what it was and why it matters to you. And always remember, the review is not written for the judge center. The judge center doesn't know how to read the review. It's written for the subject. You writing to that person because you are giving him feedback so that he can improve. Or if it was something good, you know what it is that makes other judges think that he's doing a good job, so he can continue doing that good job. Writing reviews could probably fit into a review entire presentation of his own. Why are you doing one? You did last year.
If you want.
Also, another requirement would be to write an article, conference or tournament report within the previous 12 months. Similar to writing reviews, writing articles, sharing your tournament experiences, the lessons that you learned from conference. For example, you can write a report about this conference. It's also another way of sharing information, and level 2s are expected to help each other learn more from each other. So doing so is another way of showing that you are capable of sharing information. Notice the star and tournament report. It has to be a Tom Brown event with more than with 2 or more judges. Let's show that you have experience working in such organizations. And of course, have a score of 70% or more on the level 2 practice exam. As a level 2, you'll be faced with even more challenging rules question. So having a rules knowledge is also important. One of the last item in the requirements is to have a recommendation review from someone who worked together with you in a COM-RL event written by a level 2 class. Basically, you have to have someone else that says, hey, I think we will make a good level 2 class. But what exactly is that recommendation review? The reviewer will have to answer these two main questions. Is the subject recommended to become a level 2 based on the interactions you have with him in this event? And do you think that the subject will be able to do a good job in judging, doing a good job at the average PPTQ? Because once you are a level 2, you will be able to shoulder the responsibility of running a PPTQ, and business of course, the judge program rather, would much more prefer if you are actually capable of it. So these two questions I believe are very important. Make sure that you impress, make sure you are well prepared, that you can impress the reviewer that you are ready for level 2. And in addition to all that, they also have to enter 3 main evaluation of 3 main subject, 3 main scopes of your performance. They want to know whether or not you know the event structure well. For example, how many rounds in PPTQ with, for example, 14 players. Great, 14 players. PPTQ, how many rounds?
Standard or
No right answer.
What? That's the answer for him.
No, you should tell him first.
So depending on the
No, he answered 4.
He said 4.
what? Huh?
4
4 plus 1. The first thing is you need to ask whether or not it's standard or sealed. Because one you have to cut top 8, the other one you have to cut top 4.
Why is it 4 plus 1? Why plus 1? Why plus 1?
Cut to top 4, yes, that's right. You need to know single elimination structure, the procedure for doing sealed decks and whatnot.
Yeah, this happened before standard. They still run it 4 plus 3, which means that 4 it's 14 but they still run 4 and then top 8. Actually, Raj standard pass. So it's still reported as usual. Yeah, that's
But
not correct.
that's not correct, and Raj only probably gave it an exception because trying to cancel the event will probably do a lot more worse than good.
No, because Raj says it's because there's still 7 rounds, right?
But please don't do that, everyone else. You need to be familiar with judging policy operations. Whether or not, for example, will you be able to know how to prepare for a sealed deck tournament? You know how to lead the players? Because once you are head judge of PPTQ or sealed PPTQ, you need to be able to do all these things. You should know how to do a deck check, which Dennis will be teaching all of us best practices. Know how to enter a DQ report and so on, and also diplomacy and interaction. Because you'll be interacting with a lot of people, you need to interact. You need to know how to interact with your TO, the other judges, with the players, and be able to do a good job at it. Which Wee-Tian earlier gave us a lot of good examples and opinions. Backtrack a little bit. The last 3 parts, it's not necessary for you to have all of that knowledge, but the better well prepared you are, the more attractive candidate you are to the certified. But but being able to have the reviewer say, yep, I think this guy will make a decent level 2 is the most important part. And once you get past the requirements, you actually you have to go through the advancement interview and recommendation from the certifier, which will be a level 3 plus. Level 3. There's no more level 3 plus. Level 3s or L2 testers. And they will be evaluating you based on a few key factors. First one, like we briefly mentioned, diplomacy with the players, judges, normal awareness, which governing diplomats is the worst example please don't follow this. I cannot find any better pictures to illustrate diplomacy, so that's the best I can do. Again, you'll be working on a larger scope, right? You'll be working more than your local store that you might be used to as a level one. The level one usually just within your store. You need to be able to show that you will be able to, you are diplomatically capable of working with many different parties from the different stores. Basic understanding of investigations. If you go to a table and you start to have a nagging feeling that something might not just be something that might be wrong, there might be more sinister reasons behind it, or for example, if players could not agree on life totals or whether or not they have drawn the card for this turn, you need to be able to, a basic understanding of how to start investigating, how to start to find out more information that will help you fix the problem and give a better ruling. You should also be a willing better to certify other judges. You don't have to, but if the circumstances arises, you should be ready and willing. And you should also be involved in your regional community, like the forums, the chat groups. Be more than just a name, or you see you more than just at the event. Talk to people, go out, have fun, to discuss more about problems that you might face within your community and so on. One of the biggest roadblocks for the level 2 candidates will be the exam itself. Obviously, you have to be studying. Some quick tips on how to prepare for the level 2 exam. The level 2 exam will cover parts of the comprehensive rules, common rules, MTR, and the infraction penalty guide, the IPG. For once, you don't have to worry about the JR. So the comprehensive rules is 200. We just started the comprehensive rules. It's 210 pages with a total of 113,000 words.
You actually managed to work out.
Yeah. Don't go through
Until which extension is
the latest.
this?
Sorry.
Okay, put that in the 2 year.
Yeah.
Almost there.
You can put it now and see how many people actually remember this. Right. Yes.
I actually read through everything before I take my level 2 test.
If you are Alex Kwan, you can go through the cover to cover. But for everyone, for the rest of us mortals, you don't have to. Right? There are very specific. Yeah, I prepared this line for you.
You still remember half of it? No.
I will be providing links later in these forums, probably at the Southeast Asia forums as well. Just as a reminder, Brian Schleck wrote a really awesome study guide on the level 2 test. It highlighted about 20 sections where from CR to MTR to IPG on areas that will be tested. And those are those areas that you should have a very good idea of what's going on. Like how to cast a fireball.
How to cast a spell?
Just to touch on that, the main reason of how to cast fireball is not exactly not just the steps of casting a spell. A lot of things is also how to handle the triggers after that.
So just focus, just like back when you're in school and the teachers give you tips like, okay, focus on this chapter and that chapter. It's similar, but the reason why those sections are being tested is because those are the most important ones. And usually having a good knowledge of those basic concepts will help you make better rulings for the ones that are not as familiar. for questions related to the IPG, the best advice I can give you is always, always, always identify what is the infraction first. Instead of, oh, I know what's the fix for this problem is, we're going to do this and that, then, which infraction this fit in? No, don't. Find out what infraction it is, determine the infraction, then apply the fix according to the infraction. I forgot to add a section about MTR, but MTR sections usually based on the knowledge that you should know running an event, like previously mentioned how many rounds and single elimination.
The main important part from NTR is the communication part.
Oh,
What?
yes. What? The communication policy, CPV.
Yeah,
Derived. You should know what would be free information.
So
free
time for rounds.
information. Terms like this, unfortunately, you have to study and memorize. And of course, to the surprise of many, a lot of people actually don't try practice exams before they take the test. Please don't. Go ahead and take those practice exams. Easy and hard practices have no cooldown. You can keep taking them until they. I think someone told me before they did so many that the warning popped out and said we couldn't give you any more questions because it took too much.
Yeah, that was what happened.
But yes, let's go ahead.
There you go.
Just to add, you mentioned that try practice exam. Just I think the level 2 practice exam is like the level 1 practice exam. It doesn't go down, but
That's right.
you can always ask help from level 3 judge in your region. Like Joel, what he did for me was, okay, Joel, my exam is going to go down. Can you generate me an exam? And then he'll generate me a practice exam, and then I do that exam, and then he goes like, did you do the exam already? I saw that you already have a result. You need another one? He was like, and I was like, it would be great if you could give me another one. And then he generates me another exam. If the level 3 is willing to help you, which is most likely yes, then
Just a request that
Yeah, you can
you
ask.
can ask for help.
Yeah, just to touch on that one, it's when you want to do a practice exam, it's always advisable to get the L3 or at least your mentor to generate for you, so that he who generate the exam for you can look at your answers and know where you did wrong, and you guys can discuss, even though there is a confidential line at the bottom. Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure the confidential policy there is not. Don't go and post this question and ask for the answer on
But
the
can you
internet.
keep on generating as unlimited, like every other day?
Pretty sure you'll hit the goal limit eventually.
Yeah.
Like Eugene actually does come up to me and says, even though the practice exam, if you got it wrong, even if you get it right, they'll explain why the answer is such and such. But sometimes those explanation doesn't make sense. Something can just be explained in a more organic sense when you talk to someone else and discuss about problems. This will help because having a better understanding of why this thing, why does layer work that way is a lot more easier than trying to understand it from those lines of text. And the last advice is also yes.
Yeah, so just to add on, the way I practice, the way I prepared for my level 2 exam, for those hardcore test takers, I try to take the hard practice exam once every other day after I study. So because it's unlimited, you can try the question pool is quite large. You can try it over and over again until you get it right. And then if you find that your trend of results, because there's only 12 questions in that exam. So if you find that your trend is moving along the lines of 8 out of 12 to 10 out of 12, in a way you're in a good track to do well for the level 2 exam.
You have a better idea of that whether or not you are.
Yes.
As an add-on, but those practice is only purely on rules, right? It doesn't cover.
Yes, that's right. There's a policy exam. Yes, there's a separate policy exam in order to test. So you take I think we recommended that you take a handful of hard practices and policy practices before taking the L2 practice exam.
Actually, the hard practice exam has at least 2 policy questions. You can
Every single term, every term.
Yeah, it's just that if you want to have more practice, take the policy exam as well. So last advice, unless you're Alex Kwan, don't cram. Pace yourself, because this leads to one of the things that a lot of L1 candidates come across that stumbles is that, so sometimes you just take the exams and you don't see much progress. I keep having 4 and 5, 4 and 5s, and you feel burnt out, right? Or you just don't feel like doing it anymore because you just don't really see a progress. That's one danger of cramming too much. Right? If you try too hard, don't just keep cramming. Right? It might work for some people if you are the type of student that you keep. The way that works best for you is to just keep on going through the books again and again until you get it. That might work for you. Please do it, whatever works for you. But if it doesn't, don't. Right? Take it easy. Don't forget, there is a wealth of resource that's available to the judges, which is the community. And I don't mean links on the website, articles and whatnot. It's everyone else around you, right? Everyone here can help you in working towards level 2. Make full use of it. As mentioned earlier, find a style that really suits you. There's no such thing as one size fits all way of preparing for the L2 exam. You can cram, you can rush it, do 1 every day, two every day, or take it more easy, do it once a week, or something like that. But most importantly, don't lose track, right? You can take it easy, but set deadlines. Have a day, say, okay, I'm aiming to take my level 2 exam on the next judge conference, which we don't know the date yet.
Never mind.
So, for example, if you want to take exam on GP Manila, you want to level up for GP Manila, that's a date that you set some key dates that you want to be able to clear your tournament report. You want to clear through the reviews. You want to work at the Gold Rush just finished, right? Gold Rush even just finished. If there's a lot of large events in the Philippines, and those large events are very easy to hit those multi-judges requirements such as reviews and whatnot. But there's plenty of opportunities for everyone. Set those dates. I want to clear these requirements by this date and that date. Pass my level 2 exam 1 month before my level 2 practice, 1 month before the GP, and then set a date with your mentor, your certifier, to take the test at GP Manila, for example. This will make sure that you will be moving ahead instead of just going in circles, because sometimes the path is just not very clear. But with the help of everyone else around you, you can make sure there is a straight road that you can take. Another advice that I have is find a rival, find someone else to work towards level 2 with, someone who will help you study and exchange rules, questions like, oh, I think this problem is interesting, or I don't understand this question, so that both of you can benefit from it. The story for me is that I actually started being serious about judging only after Yi here passed his exam. I was like, what? Yi can do it? I can do it too. So I became level 1 about 2 or 3 years after him, and then after that I keep hoping him to be level 2. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be level 2 before him, and I did it. So that's a way that worked for me. Maybe it could for you as well. It's like, find someone that you think I can do better than this person, and make it your motivation, because motivation is the most important thing for us to do anything. It's something that drives us to achieve something. Like, find out if you really want to be level 2. Ask yourself, why do you want to be level 2, and keep that in mind. Keep having that motivation, and that will help you in achieving that. Something like that. And that is my presentation. Does anyone have any? You're chasing me off already? No.
Once a month, right?
2 months.
2 months.
Two
Should be 2 months.
So for the exam that you generate yourself, there's a 2 month cooldown. Of course, a level 3 can generate another level practice for you. Like what Ben was saying earlier on, okay, yes, we can keep generating level 2 practices for people who are interested in using them to gauge their progress. So I only have one caveat about that, which is that the first thing is that, of course, the number of questions in the question for level 2 practice is limited as well. So you can't just keep grinding through all the questions again and again. Second thing is, when we consider making you a level 2 practice test outside of your cooldown period, one of the considerations we take into account is that we want to make sure that you are progressing towards your studies, towards level. So if you do your level 2 practice and you score 40%, and you say, I want to do another level practice, okay, the first one I just did for you without questions, fine, do it again. Okay? And if you do it again and you only score 50% again, and you say, I want to do another quiz test, I will probably tell you no. The reason I tell you no is not because that I won't allow you to take any more level 2 practices, but I want to make sure that you can spend some time studying and learning from the mistakes you made from your previous test, so that you actually learn from the tests rather than just grinding through all the questions and know the correct answers without knowing the reason for the correct answer. So if you are progressing well and you've been studying and then 1 month later you say, I want to try another level practice, sure, we'll probably do that for you. But if you are not studying and you just want to see more questions in the question, then don't.
Technical information for you guys. The question pool inside practice test is not the same pool as the actual exam.
Just to add to that, a lot of the questions in the hard practice exams actually have similar questions in the L2 and the L2 practice exams. It's just that it comes in different forms, probably, in different combinations. And one more thing about the comprehensive rules, QJs, right? Feel good to read it cover to cover, but one good way to go about it and cover the things that you haven't read yet is whenever you get an error in your practice exams, it has a reference to the comprehensive rule that's related to that error. Sometimes it's not enough that you just read the reference there. Sometimes if it covers a broader subject, then you may want to consider looking at that whole section of the comp rules and reviewing that.
I've been interested in working on my level 1 since very, very long time ago, even though I got certified about 3.5 years ago. Except that the way I thought I would be studying is I'm going to start by studying the entire comprehensive rules. So I'm going to start read, and then I stop, and I forget it for a few months. And the drive come again. I want to be judge, and I start reading the comprehensive rules again, and I keep stopping. So please don't, unless you like the sort of thing.
Yeah, and just one more, by experience, it's easier to use the practice exams rather than the hard practice. For example, rather than writing the L2 practice exams, because the hard practice exams only 10 items, right? Or 12 items for IPG related. L2 practice is 25. You take one hard practice exam per day. That only takes you a max of 30 minutes. And in the long run, I think it's easier to do. There's less chances of you getting bored or not finishing the exam or just getting tired of taking exams altogether. It's like building muscle memory.
Anyone else have any other questions?
Just to add to the portion on your report that when you said that find somebody to race with, if that particular motivation does not suit you, like you don't want to be competing against one of your peers, another good thing that can possibly motivate you as you study for your level 2 exam is look for that chance to be able to teach your mentor something. Be in a position to you're trying to get yourself in a position when you can actually teach the person who taught you everything something. And speaking from what happened to me earlier this year, my goal for myself is I have to be able to teach you something about the IT. I was like, okay. So in preparing for the exam, when you focus on that particular portion, that you want to be able to teach that particular portion of what you're trying to learn for the level 2 test to your mentor, your attention to detail will be much higher because you will know that the mentor already knows something. You're trying to show him something that's greater than you.
Cool. That's cool. Anyone else? Right. As we wrap up, as usual, if there's any problems and that you'd like to talk to me personally about getting to level 2, I'm all ears. Come find me anytime. I'll be trying to be in this hall from after dinner until the hall closes as much as possible. Just come and find me. I'm more than happy to help. Thank you very much for your time.